Alrighty, so in today's video, I wanted to give a good general surface overview of the Keepa product finder, and then also share some information, some tips and some tricks, and then also some filters that I personally like to utilize to source in the Keepa product finder, just to hopefully get you started and give you some inspiration on some different settings that you can use and filters you can apply to start better utilizing the product finder for Keepa. So if you're not familiar, the Keepa product finder is something that's available to everybody with a Keepa subscription. I believe it's vastly underutilized. I don't believe most people actually utilize Keepa to its full potential. But the Keepa product finder essentially just allows us to filter data on Amazon, basically with any kind of filter and criteria that you would like. So we can set data for, sales rank, price stability, if Amazon's out of stock, how many sellers are in stock, all kinds of stuff in between, right? And so this allows us to really focus in on certain criteria. And if we utilize that criteria properly, it can actually be a very viable way for us to source OA and RA items and even additional wholesale items as well, as long as you adapt it to your process. So before we get into it, I wanted to mention a couple things for the Keepa Product Finder, some initial tips and tricks. The first one being is when we run a product finder search, I'm just going to filter out some data here just so I don't have too many results. When we filter some results here, I just found this out, but you can actually save column presets. So previously, what we always did is if we want a certain information, we would move it around the Keepa Product Finder and put it in the proper place. But every time we reset or came back into the Keepa Product Finder, that information would be back to where it was prior. I just found out recently you can actually save this information. So if you come into configure columns, you can come and click load preset. So after you have all your columns configured the way that you want, and then your columns unchecked or checked accordingly. So if you want to see certain data, you can check it off or uncheck it. You can click load/save preset and then set a preset name and save it. And then every time you come in here, you can reload this preset and then your columns will be set up exactly the way that you like. And you can see that we can save up to 10 column presets. So you can save different settings based on what kind of sourcing you're doing. So like if you're doing like A2A flips, if you're just looking for all-time lowest prices, if you are searching for items that say had X amount of sellers at one point and those sellers dropped off today, you can set all kinds of those presets. So I would highly encourage that you take advantage of this if you're going to be utilizing the Keepa Product Finder extensively. And this is something that I'm going to be implementing into our business very shortly here as well. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that you can actually bookmark your Keepa Product Finder filters. So if you do the same searches on a regular basis, you don't need to come back in and reapply all those filters. You can actually bookmark them. So you can bookmark them in your bookmarks bar on your browser, or you can just save the URL in something like a spreadsheet. So we can see here, like the Keepa Product Finder up here, it has a pretty unique URL for the filters that we applied. And so the settings that it applies corresponds with the URL up here. So if you bookmark your settings once you come into the results page here, then you can come back into this anytime and it'll apply the exact same filters for you. So again, if you utilize it on a regular basis and you utilize the same filters, make sure you take advantage of that because that can be a huge time save as well. Okay, so let's get into kind of some of my favorite filters to utilize with Keepa Product Finder. And so again, I'm no expert when it comes to the Keepa Product Finder. It's still one of the least utilized methods in our personal business. We've been using it more and more. I've been getting more familiar with it, but in no means am I an expert, and I don't know what every single section does. So this is just going to kind of be a brief surface level overview of some of the filters I like to use, just to hopefully give you that inspiration for you to get started and then start playing around with it from there. So some of the main stuff that we like to use are the sales rank criteria under sales rank and price types. So we can set minimum sales rank or maximum sales rank criteria for our filters. So say if we're searching the grocery category and say if we never source grocery items that have a higher sales rank than 30,000, we can set that criteria in here. And that's a very helpful filter to use to make sure you filter out a lot of the junk. So you can set the current filters, you can set the 30-day average, 90-day average, 180-day average, etc. So say if I just wanted to search for groceries when we're not looking for non-suppressed sales rank items, I would come in here, I would say set the 90-day average sales rank to say 30,000, and that will ensure that I get rid of all the products in that category or whatever categories you're looking at that are outside of that criteria. Another filter that I really like to utilize in here is the no sales rank filter, and that is more so specifically to find items with suppressed sales ranks. And in Canada, the categories that tend to have that the most are the grocery category and the health and beauty category. So we could utilize that in correlation with some additional filters, like say if we look at sales rank drops for the last 180 days, we can do that. I'll just show you for an example of something that I run on a regular basis. So say we look at an item that currently has no sales rank, and then boom, 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 boom. We come into our root category. We set our category that we want. So we go grocery and gourmet. Dun, 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 dun. I would probably set some live offers filters here just to ensure that it does currently have active FBA sellers on the listing. So I just do one. A lot of people in the US say that they want way more sellers, but in Canada, I don't believe that's really helpful. And there's a ton of products in Canada that are not PL products that only have one seller on them. So I would typically only do that. And then where's my sales rank drops filter here? So we can do sales rank drop filter. So if we wouldn't want to target the last 30 or 90 days, we probably want to target like the last 180 days. And that will display us items that have just recently lost their sales rank. And I mean, we don't know why it loses sales rank. It's probably a glitch or Amazon just doesn't want to report it. So we can say over the last 180 days, say they had on average 5 sales rank drops, right? And we can see that we filtered down to 88 products. And if we just take a quick look at these guys, these should all be items that currently have no sales rank, but previously had a sales rank. So these are items that just recently lost their sales rank. So we can hover over and we can see exactly that on the right-hand side of the screen there. So these are items that used to have a sales rank and they no longer do. So these are items that could be good targets for suppressed sales rank listings. I'm going to be going on tangents in this video as well, just like that. So I apologize, it's not going to be super structured. So those are some very helpful filters to use. The buy box price is something that we utilize a lot. So this can help you get buy box stability. So just pricing stability in general. And it can also help you filter out items that say are too cheap to really be realistic to sell on Amazon. So say if we're filtering some data and we look at buy box price, we want to look at, say, the current buy box price of no less than $15, because chances are most items, unless they're super small or extremely cheap to source, we probably will not be able to find many viable products that sell for $15 or less. So we can filter out a lot of the junk by just utilizing a filter like that. And then we can also look at you can look at obviously average prices if you want, but we can also look at the drop percentage. So what this means is that you can kind of see items that are more price stable. So I'm just going to show you for an example here. Say if we look at the 90-day average and we go say from minus 20% to plus 20%. And let's again filter by a specific category here. Where is my category? Let's just take a quick peek at, I don't know, health and beauty. That's too many products, so hold on. So I just want to filter out some additional data here. So let's go 15, and Amazon's out of stock. And I want one live seller. And again, you don't need to apply just one filter. You can apply as many filters as you want, and you can get as creative as you want as well. So yeah, let's just see if we can find some products here. This is going to be too many, but that's fine. And so when we look at items like this, we can see that these items have very stable buy box prices. So these are ones that have fluctuated from minus to plus 20%. So we can see on the right-hand side there on the Keepa graph. So these are relatively stable. We don't see a lot of variation in these products. And maybe we want to look at items that have higher variations when we're looking at, like, say, something like A2A flips, right? So we can come back into this guy. Okay, and then the Amazon filter is also another one that we utilize quite heavily. We either are utilizing this to find products that Amazon is not currently in stock on, or they're at a certain price range, or we're looking for items that are kind of like the lowest price they've ever been. So, for example, we can just set the filter that Amazon's currently out of stock. So that will ensure that we don't see any products that Amazon is currently in stock on if that's what you want to target. We can set the filter for the lowest ever price, and that will show us only items that currently have the lowest ever price for Amazon's pricing. And then we can set additional criteria for pricing, averages, sales rank, or not sales rank, price fluctuations, etc. So that's something that you can use a lot as well. Lowest ever is something that's really good to utilize for A2A flips as well. The new price, I don't really utilize a whole lot, but again, it works very similarly to like the buy box standard price. And then we have also the third-party FBA price. So this is something that you can use instead of the buy box price or in conjunction with. And so this would help you find items specifically only for FBA sellers. So this will help you filter out some of that FBM data. And this will also help you find additional items that maybe have a suppressed buy box, but it operates in the exact same way. And we can also use this if you really want to get deep into it to find potential price errors from third-party sellers. Even with Amazon, you can just look at very high price drop percentages. So like say if we look at the last 1 day or 7 days, and we only want to look at items that have price dropped, I don't know, 90%. Let's see here what we can find here, 90%. So we can see in the last 1 day on Amazon, there have been 129 products in total through their entire catalog that have dropped at least 90%. And so if we take a look at these guys, let's just take a quick peek at some of these guys. We probably want to filter by category too, because like some of these are apps. We see some books. Let's just see if we see anything interesting. And this is something that you can come through and you can probably look at multiple times per day and see different results. So it looks like right now most of these guys are books, but we can see the kind of price drops on the Keepa graph there that correspond with that 90% price drop, right? So we can use that to find either really good sales or potential price errors as well. Okay. For FBM data, I don't personally use this a whole lot, but I suppose if you want to try to do some sourcing for like FBM, specifically for selling FBM, you can do it that way. Or you can also try utilizing those filters if you want to start looking for like some FBM to FBA flips. I wouldn't do that with most products, but you could also look for price errors as well. But that could also be very viable for a lot of books. Okay. Prime exclusive, I don't personally ever use. Lightning deals you can use if you want to just see upcoming lightning deals on Amazon, or you can look at lowest ever. That's cool too. We don't do anything used, so we don't use the use sections, but these operate exactly the same as just the other sections mentioned above. You can look for warehouse deals. So those are the deals specifically from Amazon's warehouse. So like these are open box or slightly damaged items. So that's a good way to find good deals via warehouse deals if you're one of those shoppers. So that more so be for personal stuff or probably items that you're going to flip onto eBay or possibly locally. I never mess with the refurbished or collectible sections, but they operate exactly the same. And same with the list price and eBay prices. I haven't utilized those either. But if somebody, you probably could get some good data from eBay because I know Keepa cross-references data via UPC on eBay, but I'm not quite sure how well that would work there. Okay, so then under the title, brand, and more, this is something that we utilize quite often. In almost all searches, unless I'm looking for like just broad price errors, I would utilize a root category just so we remove a lot more results and we're not looking at tens of thousands of results at once. We typically do it by category. Subcategories, not so much I don't personally use, but you certainly can. The text field section here is very nice if you want to look for items with certain text in the titles on Amazon. And so how we mainly utilize this is if we're looking for items that are, say, bundles or multi-packs. Either we're looking for them just to source ourselves to become a part of, or we're looking for them to do A2A flips where we're adding bundles together or splitting bundles or multi-packs up. And so you can just simply look up something like bundle and then set a root category. Say we look at, let's say we look at grocery. So we can see we have 6,000 results right now. And this will pull up any item that has the word bundle in the title. And so typically speaking, bundle would be multiple different products bundled together. So we can see that these are all items that are potential for bundles, right? So if I want to do a regular search for bundles, I would probably either do a set sales rank or no sales rank. I'd probably look at a minimum price for buy box or FBA price. So let's just show you an example of a search that I do for a bundle. I'd say like minimum FBA price $15. I would say I want Amazon out of stock for at least the last 50% over the last 90 days, which we'll come to in a second. We're going to look at grocery. We're going to search for bundle. I want at least one FBA seller on the listing, so that's going to get rid of a lot of the additional junk. And say I want Amazon out of stock for the last, for at least 50% of the time. Hold on. Sometimes I do not recall where some settings are, so just bear with me for just a second. I don't believe that's the setting that we want. No, it's not. I know there's another setting specifically for Amazon being out of stock. 1 second here. Bum, 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 bum. That's 90-day out of stock. That's not Amazon specific. For some reason, I cannot find the Amazon specifically out of stock. There is a setting in here somewheres where you can set how often Amazon has been out of stock for in the last 90 days. I know that there's a setting here somewhere. I literally just used it. Oh, it's right in front of me. So 90 days out of stock percentage. So Amazon, say I'd want them out of stock over the last 90 days at least 50% of the time. Just for example, that doesn't change our results, but that's another filter that you can use. And then we can click find products. And this will find the results that met my criteria there. And so these are results that are probably less likely to have private label sellers on them. But you can also configure your columns so you can see who the current buy box seller is right over here. And that's really helpful to find private label sellers really quickly. And then you can start looking into these guys and seeing if you can find these, reverse source them at online or retailers. Okay. So yeah, those are very helpful things to use for text fields. You can also look at multi-packs. So like say if you want to look at like pack of 12 or pack of 24 or pack of 4, you can do that for each and every one, and that can find you some good results as well. These guys, I haven't personally utilized any of these guys whatsoever, so I couldn't give you any advice for this category here. For offer counts, these are typically speaking some additional filters you can apply to regular filters. I don't personally tend to use these a lot by themselves, but you can utilize them in conjunction with, like, say, some price increase filters, where, like, say, you want to find items that currently have a dropping offer count or dropping seller count and increasing FBA price, right? So you can kind of utilize these two filters together. So let's say if we look at new offer count and we want to see it drop off from at least, I don't know, 10% over the last 90 days. So that means that it's going to only show us listings that have had at least a 10% drop off in sellers. You can also apply that higher, right? And then we can also apply a price filter. Bum, 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 bum. That's not the section that I want. I would have to think about this because we'd want to see the price increase, not drop. So I would have to just think this one through specifically of how we would apply that. But you should be able to apply a filter where you see items that are sellers are dropping off and the price is increasing. And so those are typically products that tend to be relatively good to source if we can find them. Those typically are products that are harder to source, or they're items that are starting to recover from previous price tanking, right? But I'd have to think that one through to how to apply that one properly there. I never utilize anything when it comes to use offer, refurbished, or collectible. I do utilize the retrieved live offers quite often, specifically for FBA, just to indicate that there are currently at least one FBA seller on a listing. You can also utilize certain filters that there's currently no FBA sellers on a listing, but say there was previously over the last 30 or 90 days, and that could be an indication of items that potentially sell. You can set other criteria for that, but sellers just stock out quite often, and those could be good opportunities as well, because you can sell a lot in the times that they stock out, either at an increased price, or you can just hog the buy box for the times that they stock out, right? Okay, so then we come to the section for refining your search even more. So we can look up specific buy box sellers. So say if we only want to filter by if Amazon is the current buy box seller, if only third-party sellers are the current buy box seller, anything regardless doesn't matter. Or you can look at certain seller IDs. You can filter that as well. There's additional switches that you can apply as well. So if you want to see if the buy box is FBA or if it's unqualified or if it's pre-order. So if it's unqualified, that would typically be like a suppressed buy box, right? So you can apply all different kinds of filters there. You can look for specifically for used sellers. So like for Amazon Warehouse, I'm not sure if we have used buy boxes in Canada. I haven't sold used products on Amazon for quite some time, but when I used to, we didn't. We might now, I'm not sure. You can look up just for specific conditions for used items. You can show items that only have variations or non-variations or both, if that is your thing. You can set data for Keepa's backend, the last time it detected a price change, how long it's been listed for, when it was released, etc. I don't typically utilize these filters too much. The 90-day out of stock percentage is something that we discussed a little bit earlier. So you can find items that have either been out of stock for the buy box seller or for Amazon specifically. So like say if we look at items that the buy box has been out of stock, say at least 30 or 50% of the time over the last 90 days. That is a nice filter that you can utilize to help find items in conjunction with other filters that people regularly stock out on. And those could be very viable products as well. And then obviously you can utilize the filter to filter items for times for Amazon has been out of stock. Sales rank drops is another helpful filter, but you shouldn't overutilize sales rank drops. Sales rank drops is just something that you can utilize to apply to your searches just to give an indication that your items are actually selling. And so, of course, if Keepa is not picking up proper information, you're going to filter out those results. For items that have suppressed sales ranks, you're going to filter out those results, right? So just use it sparingly and use it intelligently. But if you just want to look at items that have really high volume, you can look at sales rank drops. So like say we want to look at items that only have, 20 sales rank drops in the last 30 days. We can utilize that and then apply a category filter. So say we look at health and personal care. So we have 21,000 products in this category. And then you'd obviously want to apply some additional filters as well, like maybe sales rank filters, live FBA filters, etc. But when we hover over these guys, these would be guys that would have at least 20 sales rank drops over the last 30 days. So that can be very helpful to utilize if you're looking for certain high volume items or just certain volume items in general. Say if you potentially want to target items that actually don't sell a whole lot, but are very high value items, that's also a strategy you can utilize as well. Where were we here? This is a new one. So this is the information that Amazon added onto their catalog, where we see that little button pop up on some listings on Amazon where it tells us how many were actually purchased in the last month. So as far as we know, this data should be very accurate because it's coming from Amazon directly, but I don't believe it applies to every single product. I haven't played with this filter a whole lot, but you certainly can, and you can probably find some good items utilizing that. We have a rating and review count filter. Rating, I personally probably wouldn't utilize myself whatsoever, unless you are in a category or in a brand that has or that's known to have a lot of issues. And like say you want to only look at items that have a rating of 3 stars or more, you can do that. I don't utilize this one a whole lot myself. When it comes to review count, you can utilize this to find items that only have certain review counts, but I don't find it's super effective in Canada because it's going to filter reviews for both Canada and any other marketplace that's connected to that ASIN, so like US, UK, etc. So you can't always get an indication if items are moving by utilizing this filter in Canada, just because basically all of our ASINs that we have, or a good chunk of them rather, are also connected to the US. So you can use it, but you'll probably get a mixed bag of results for that. You can also, the way that you could utilize this is if items have, say, 0 reviews, but have some traction, like say they currently have 1 or 2 current FBA sellers, maybe they have sales rank drops, etc. That could be a good filter that you can use to help start finding some new items that don't yet have a whole lot of traction on Amazon, but already have proven sales history. You can do that too. You can look at certain filters for availability of an Amazon offer. I don't personally really change this a whole lot myself. And then you can look at items that have specific information for pick and pack fees, dimensions, etc. I don't personally utilize this a whole lot, but some ways I could see this being utilized is if, say, you're reviewing a brand, say if you're working on like a brand exclusive deal, or if you're trying to pitch some value to a brand, you can possibly use something like this to potentially find items that are outside of their weight criteria than what they should be a lot easier. And you might be able to bring that to their attention and say, hey, this item's incorrect in Amazon. This should be adjusted. This is not actually the weight of this item. And we can save X amount of fees over, X amount of thousands of units per month. You can utilize it for things like that. And of course, you can utilize it pretty much any other way that you like. And so, yeah, that is a lot of the basics when it comes to the Keepa Product Finder. So I kind of use the filters that I mentioned in conjunction with one another quite a lot. And the ways and amounts of ways that you can be creative in the Keepa Product Finder are basically unlimited. You can apply these filters in all different kinds of ways, probably, hundreds of thousands or even potentially millions of different ways. You can apply these filters to find specific products. So I do encourage you to play around with the Keepa Product Finder. See what works for you, because once you get proficient with it, you can actually surprise yourself on how quickly you're able to find some good results. So yeah, give it a try. And of course, if you do find anything that works very well for yourself, or you find something interesting for the Keepa Product Finder, always be sure to share it with the group. We're always interested in learning as well. And you don't need to share your exact filters, but if you do find something interesting that could be applied in this scenario, that is always very helpful for the group. But yeah, besides that, I hope that you find this video useful.